Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Christopher. We're going to do a review slash demo of this super cool orange dual terror head. Just trying to get my camera set in the best way here. Probably should have done this earlier, but never a dull moment. So, this head was loaned to me by a buddy. I'm going to say thank you, Herb, for allowing me to do this little demo with your amp. This amp is badass with a underline under badass. It's extremely loud. I'm in my band room right now because I can't do this video at home. It's just too loud. This is not an amp that you would want to use in an apartment, or if you want to do bedroom practice, this is not the amp for you. This amp is extremely loud. It's two-channel amp. You got a fat channel and a tiny terror channel. There are several settings for modifying the power. All of them are loud. You can go to half with the two-tube setting in the back, because in the back of this amp there's a setting that allows you to switch the power from going to all four tubes down to only two tubes, and it cuts the power. And then in the front here, we got this switch right here that right now it's in full, but you can put it in half power. So if you have it in half power and in the two tubes in the back, you're putting out a fairly low amount of wattage. This is, I believe, a 30-watt head, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, so fact check me and tell me in the comments if I'm totally an ass. But I believe it's a 30-watt head, and it's ridiculously loud. Even with all the power saturations coming down at halves, it's still stupid loud. I wouldn't recommend this amp if you're going to be playing in an apartment complex or something like that, where you need to be, keep your volume manageable. This amp is a beast, and it's meant to be played as such. So, without further ado, let's hear how it sounds. You can see my settings I got on the fat channel, which I'm using as the clean channel in this demo. The volume is up about 3/4 of the way. Tone is just past the halfway point. My gain is, I don't know, around 9 o'clock, 9:30 maybe, on the knob. And we get this sound right here. And just so you can see, I'm playing through an old Ibanez Radius model, my 442, which is loaded with DiMarzio, it's the Mark Morton signature pickup in the bridge, 2 single coils, maple neck. It's an old Ibanez. I love it. Plays great, sounds great. You can get the best of both worlds. You get that big, huge humbucker sound, and you can get that really nice, chimey bell single coil tone. So here we go. Clean channel. I'm on the neck pickup. Okay, that's so loud. I should mention also there's no reverb on this amp, so it's going to be very dry. There's also no what do you call it? There's no effects loop in the back. So if you're going to run pedals on this, it's got to come into the face, which is not always a good thing. So I don't know how well this amp would be for taking pedals, because obviously you don't want to distort your reverb pedal, for instance, by putting it in the face. Maybe you like it that way, but I personally don't. But anyways, here's the clean channel. As I'm playing through this, you can hear how dynamic it is. If I hit my pick harder, it gets more volume. You get into these types of things. not playing with my volume knob on the guitar. That's just picking harder or softer, and you can get different levels of volume. So very cool, clean channel. I'm going to go to both the middle pickup and the neck pickup so you can get a little bit more chime. Very chimey. I'm going to go to the middle pickup and give it a little bit of a boost in the treble end here. Very responsive, very dynamic, reacts to how hard you pick very well. I really like that with this amp. But this is an orange dual terror, and I don't think you're here to hear the clean channel. So let's go over to the heavy side. As you can see on this, I got the volume down a bit because the gain on this makes the volume very loud. The tone is almost about the same. I find that that setting right there where the tone knob is right now is probably my favorite spot. A little higher than that, it gets too bright. A little lower than that, it gets a little bit too dark, and I'll demonstrate that for you in a second. But here's how it sounds with the gain channel set to about the 2 o'clock position on the gain knob. And I should say I'm on my bridge pickup. Very good classic rock type of tone. It's extremely loud, but it sounds really good. You can do a really awesome AC/DC with this. I don't play AC/DC very much, so I'm not going to attempt any of their riffs, even though they're probably pretty simple. And it's pretty quiet when you stop playing, I should say. I'm up pretty loud, and I'm sitting 3 feet in front of the cab, so it's not feeding back, and it's incredibly loud. You could very easily play with a band at this volume. And my guitar still turned up. It's not feeding back at all, and I'm right in front of it, so that's really cool. I'm sure that's going to change, though, when I turn the gain up a little bit. So I'm going to max the gain out so you can hear exactly how much gain this guy gets. There you go. You get the big hiss coming at you. You're going to get some serious gain now. I bet you if I turn my volume knob up, it's gonna whistle at me. Oh yeah. So, of course, with something like this, you want to start playing as soon as you turn your volume up, because we're at a pretty good clip here. Let's see how the gain sounds. takes a while for that feedback to hit, and I'm sitting literally 3 feet in front of the amp. So I would imagine if you're playing in a band scenario, if you're standing more than 6 feet away, that's going to be negated. In fact, I'm going to stand up and walk as far away from the amp as I can right now to see how much feedback I get. Okay, so I'm about 6 feet away from the amp, and with my volume knob turned up, I get no feedback. So even with that crazy gain, no feedback. My amp is still cranked, or my guitar. So you're getting a crazy amount of gain, and it's not feeding back from 5 feet away. That's pretty impressive. I love this little amp. I think it's really great. Here I am 3 feet away. I get the whistle again. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn down the gain a tiny bit. And I'm going to show you how it sounds when you play with the tone knob. So I'll just pluck. That's what I call the wet blanket tone. And that's the ice pick tone right there. Way too much treble. My favorite spot right there. That's where I prefer it. See how the neck pickup sounds. Which is a single coil, so I'm going to get the 60 cycle hum on this guy because I don't have noiseless on this guitar. So there it is. I'm 3 feet away and it's not feeding back. That's a great thing. And it's just because my gain knob is back around the 3 o'clock area. So when you max the gain out, that's when you get the potential for the most feedback. So single coil tones, let's see how it sounds in a lead. Very creamy, very cool sounding. I think that if I back the gain down a little bit, I can get that Stevie tone maybe. Let's see what happens. We get that there, probably. Like fucking up a perfectly good riff. But yeah, it gets you pretty close. So amazing tones with a single coil. I really like that a lot. If this had an effects loop, I'd be all about this thing just so I could put a reverb on it, maybe some delay. And I don't like putting those in the face of an amp because they get distorted. So you don't want a delay that's to have to be distorted by the amp on every repeat. I would much prefer that the sound get distorted after it's or before it gets delayed and reverb affected. It makes more sense to me that way. I think it sounds better. But for what this amp is, it is a beast of an amp. I really dig it. The clean channel stays real clean. It's got a lot of headroom in it. You can use it as a dual gain head, actually, too. If you turn this guy back down, give this guy some gain, and now you should have another distorted channel. So now a quick little test I want to do is I want to give this the same exact settings on both channels so that we have identical settings and see if they sound any different from one another or if it sounds exactly the same. So that looks to me to be about the same. So let's see what it sounds like when we switch between them. Play a nice little simple riff. Okay, so awesome. You can't beat Eddie Van Halen. Tiny Terror, see if that sounds a little different. So it sounds to me like the gain stage is a little more beefy. So. It's kind of weird. I'm going to put the gain up a little more on both, see what we get. So here's the fat channel. And then the Tiny Terror. Yeah, you can tell the Tiny Terror is supposed to be the gain channel. But it's pretty neat because you can set up, maybe use the Tiny Terror as a lead channel versus the fat channel as a rhythm. That would work pretty well. I don't have the foot switch for this amp, so I have to switch manually, so it doesn't, I can't really switch between them on the fly so you can hear it. But overall, I think this amp sounds amazing. I wish there was an effects loop if I had one critique of this amp. But there's hundreds, if not thousands, of pros all around the world that use this head without any any problems or any complaints. I should also mention that I'm playing it through my trusty orange 212 cab, which is probably the best cab I've ever encountered. But yeah, nice little orange setup, dual terror. I like it a lot. Check one out if you get a chance to, and you'll see what I mean when I say they're ridiculously loud. I had to do this in my band room for that very reason. But that's what I'm showing you today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. Let me know in the comments section if there's anything else that you want me to do with this amp. And I'll see you guys later. Take care, YouTube.